many of our colleagues have shared concerns over the course of the Biden administration, talking about the radical new WOTUS rule. But I think it cannot be emphasized enough just how harmful this rule will be for our agricultural industry. In speaking with farmers in local municipalities in my district, in rural upstate New York, in the western end of the state, in the southern tier, we extrapolated that under the EPA penalty scale, a Clean Water Act violation could run one of my producers a whopping $56,000 a day per violation. Administrator Regan, I have a lot of small generational family farms in my district, and a $56,000 slap a day from Washington bureaucrats will put them completely out of business forever, and there will not be new agricultural leaders coming into an area like mine in New York State to fill that void. Administrator Regan, these new emission standards that EPA is proposing for electric vehicles, they're very concerning, particularly due to the physical differences between the refueling of an electric car and a traditional vehicle, and notably the significant time disparity that it can take 10 times longer to fill up the tank for an electric vehicle than it would a traditional agricultural vehicle working off of diesel. This would have crippling impacts on our agricultural industry. And with that, we have a very large dairy presence in my district. Safely and timely transportation of milk from farm to processing facility to the consumer is of the utmost importance. Considering the perishable nature of the milk and the other dairy products they transport, and the distance between these facilities is almost a tenfold increase in fueling time for EV trucks over the traditional vehicles. I'm concerned that the EVs are not a suitable medium to transport milk products at this time, at this level of infrastructure. So how can we ensure that charging times don't impede on farmers or cooperatives' ability to move milk and quality of products?
Thank you for that question. And first of all, I'd like to say that we have put forward a very aggressive biofuels agenda that coincides with this EV proposed regulation. Listen, the proposal doesn't kick in until 2027. And then that'll be for cars, light-duty trucks, and some heavy-duty trucks. But there will not be a mandate or any kind of immediate transition that takes place that doesn't allow for biofuels and advanced biofuels to compete. And we're making sure of that. And that's why when we look at the set rule, and as we look at the RVOs for 2023, 24, and 25, we want them to continue from where we left off in 2022. By the way, 2022 was the highest RVO that any administration had ever put in place. So this president and I are very serious about biofuels.
Okay. Thank you. I led a letter with members of our New York delegation to our governor, who is also pushing a very similar one-size-fits-all electrification policy for rural New York, and that will directly impact our farmers. And these policies appear to be, that I'm concerned with, along with our producers, that between the federal and the state government, we're looking at very serious problems here. In turning to the EPA's chemical regulation process, I know that the EPA is working on a roadmap to address the Endangered Species Act process, but keeping tools in the toolbox for our growers is very important to me. And in my district, we have part of the Lake Erie grape belt, home of the Niagara and Concord grape. For Concord and Niagara grapes, production costs are $1,800 an acre, and at current market prices of $300 a ton for the fruit. A grower needs to produce 6 tons an acre to break even. If, for example, our growers run out of tools to control a disease like black rot fungus, it could easily cut that yield in half. And at 4 to 5 tons an acre, that grower would be operating below production costs, and the business would fail. Mr. Regan, these are the realities that specialty crop growers in my district and in Florida and Texas and California and everywhere else have to contend with. And when the EPA pushes ever more stringent rules and regulations that look good on paper here in Washington, D.C., but they don't actually work on the ground, that costs an arm and a leg to our growers. We are putting our farmers out of business. And our farmers need support, not to be told to roll with the punches, that the administration issues all sorts of new constructs and expensive rules and regulations. And I strongly encourage a change of course here. And that with that, Mr. Chairman, I do yield back.